Welcome to More Business, More Life TV. And today's episode is going to be exciting. It's someone I've worked with for years, and being able to work with them during 2020, during all these things, we're going to have some great insight. And before I introduce our guest, I just want to remind you all that we've been doing our webcasts around the three biggest things that we've noticed that has allowed for the most success during 2020. Like, how do we reposition our value, and then how do we communicate that really, really well, so that we can actually have our business continue to make the impact that we want it to make, well, increasing and growing revenue, or even helping to recover revenue that has been lost. So my team will put that in the chat here wherever you're watching this live, so that you can go ahead and register for one of our upcoming webcasts. We do that absolutely free. It's our give during this year that we've been doing, so that we can help as many of you as possible start to turn and have more success. And if you've already turned your value, how do you communicate that more quickly so that you can have the impact that you want to make with your clients? So we'll leave that with you and look forward to helping you. And that's a live Q&A with me. So I'll answer more questions and be there to help you with your business. And to help you more with your business today, let's get into the discussion. Today's guest is Marie Rios, and she is an event planner, event producer, and that's a big impacted industry in this year. And you've been able to navigate quite well. And so welcome to the show, Marie.
Hey, thanks, Steve, so much for having me. Yeah, COVID gave us all in the industry, as far as hospitality goes, a few big curves, and how you adapt. But I'm lucky to have you as a coach too. So you've helped me tremendously with just kind of navigating this and looking at life a little bit differently. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for those kind words, and I'm glad that I've been able to be in your life and help during this period. And I guess that's kind of leads to my first question. When you noticed that this wasn't going to be a quick dip, that this was going to be, like significant play on the whole year, like what became most important to you when you knew this was going to be a long play and affect your industry the way that it has?
Well, for me, okay, so I'm a single parent, so that was the first thing that I thought about. I go, oh my goodness, what am I going to be doing? Because it's just me, and so I've always been. My mom always tells me this. I always like look at maybe a situation and turn it around somehow. I always look at the positive. I'm much more of a positive person. And so I started looking at this, and I started looking at a lot of my colleagues, and not everyone was doing anything. And I'm like, I have to do something. So I was really fortunate that one of my clients decided to take their what was going to be live at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco to virtual, and we did it within 6 weeks. And I've learned so much. So that's kind of what, and then it just kind of had a domino effect. I started really enjoying it. I never thought that I would really like tech. And honestly, I feel it's really challenging for me, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm able to help my clients because as you know, working with tech people, they don't always communicate to the client as well because it's all Greek to them. So I'm that liaison person between that. I can interpret that a little bit different, know the little rocks that, because we're all navigating. This is also new for a lot of us. Even though it was March, April, May, it's still new and it still keeps changing. So that's what's really important, is staying on top of it. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. And I know all too well what you mean. Being in marketing, tech has become a big part. So I started in advertising in the 90s, and as social media and all these things emerged, we had to, and I remember going to big companies I was working with, and I was like, where's your IT department? They need to be at this meeting. And they're like, what? They need to be at this meeting? I'm like, yes, they need to be at this meeting, because marketing is all tied into your tech now, and
Yes.
even more now than ever. And you're absolutely correct. You get the creatives and you get the tech in the room, and then you have to have like this translator in the middle because even though they're all
So
speaking
true.
English, right? So I guess
Yeah.
I'm curious with all this, what would you say has been your biggest success um in 20, and I know it's an odd question to ask about 2020, but I know,
Yeah.
you've made a lot of pivots. So what would you say has been your biggest success in this year?
Well, I think mine is all about collaboration. I mean, Steve, you've introduced me to a lot of different people within the program, and it was, I don't, it was, I still remember our conversation we had, and it was, I don't know, it was a coaching call or something, or it could have been a group coaching, and it was like you were so my cheerleader. You were totally helping me, and that got me to get excited about it. So, and that's how I am. When somebody else is excited about something, I get really excited. And I think for me, it has been all about collaboration, because with my client, there was a team of us that collaborated, and with bringing Andix in, and our collaboration, and now we're even marketing ourselves, even though we're two separate companies, we're marketing ourselves as one and trying to get out there and help as many people as possible. We've found a niche within the financial services, just with all their conferences, and I think I'm going to kind of go back to really, it's just helping my clients navigate, because even if you're tech, it's a whole new world. And I think that is, how can we make it easy for them too? There's a lot of work going into these virtual conferences, just because we're all, whether we're in our home offices or we have an office that we can actually go to, there's so much prep involved. And a lot of people think, oh, okay, now I don't have my venue, I don't have my, oh, I can save a lot of money. And that's where I come in, where I can help people kind of figure out their teams and where they can spend, how they can best spend their money. So hopefully
Yeah,
that's
and that's
answering your question.
no, that
Yeah.
definitely is, and I'll have a follow up to it. And I just want to say that what I've found is that doing these virtual events have cost more. It's cost
Yeah.
more to
That's
do it
what we're
right. Like
finding.
yeah, I think that we're all going to get a discount when we go back to doing live events, and I think that will happen. Some people are saying, "Oh, this is going to be the new normal," and I think that we're all going to use technology more ever than ever before, because there's ways, like you said, we're doing it, and I think that will stay. But I think what's going to happen is people are going to want to get out, and as soon as when we can, in the next couple of years, that things can go back, I think people are going to want to go to live events. That and That's just my opinion. But I get, just coming back to this. So what I heard you say is, helping your clients navigate all the new tech and the things they need to do, and navigating their budget, how to spend it appropriately. But also, you said the big word of collaboration. So having the ability to navigate and help your clients navigate, and then have the collaboration. What does having those things do for you? What does having that do for you?
Oh, it just makes my life so much easier. I have to say, collaboration, and just having people that are a little bit, more knowledgeable in the tech. And now I'm just able to ask all kinds of fun questions. And I'm like, oh, I can do that now. I get really excited about this because I really enjoy the tech. And so it, I mean, I was, I'm self employed like a lot of us. And when COVID hit, many of us self-employed people really were kind of scared, because normally we don't get unemployment. And so that was kind of, if when you ask me what is that done, I'm able to make a living. I'm
Yeah.
able to, I'm just going to, that's just the collaborate. I'm able to pay my bills. I'm able to, and a lot of people, I feel bad. There's a lot of people that aren't in that position. And I feel super blessed, because I've been able to kind of take this and be able to create a business that I can't even say pivot, because first off, that word's been overused, but I think
Over.
it really, way over, but it's about restructuring my business. So the collaboration allowed me to look at other things in my business, because I was doing a lot of weddings. And now
Yeah.
I'm doing much more corporate and nonprofit, and some like leadership retreats, and it's repeat business for me. So it's going to be year after year. Now it's just this domino effect of referrals, because a lot of my business is based on referral. So yeah,
That's
kind of fun.
so beautiful. It's so beautiful to hear. And like the thing that I've been using instead of saying pivot really is redefine your value. Because right, we're all providing
Yeah,
value to our clients, especially in a service business like yours. And then you've been able to reestablish the value that they needed and then communicate that well. I think if I look at all the interviews I've done and all the people I talk to that are finding success, it's been that they listen to their clients, right? And like you said, you help them navigate. So you've been able to establish a new value that, and maybe it's brand new or maybe it's just adjusted, but then you were able to communicate it really well. So that's the second part. We got to be able to communicate this change so that they understand it as well as you do. And you have to give yourself a lot of credit, like I know you're grateful that you've had this success and you've been able to, like you said, pay your bills while others haven't. But,
yeah,
if you think about it, you're one of the ones that no one would have questioned you. No one would have said, "Oh, Marie lost everything. It was
yeah,
horrible, but she was in the event business. Of course, she lost everything." You could have been that, and everyone would have said, "Oh, I understand, Marie." But you're in one of the hardest hit industries, and then you pulled it off. So you have to say that our own choice matters, so like you could have went the other way and said poor me, but you said how can I help my clients, number one, and
yeah,
then you figured it out. So I just want to give you kudos back, like you did this, you went and took
yeah.
action.
Thank you, thank
you
you.
know
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's a
It's true.
big it's
I
a
tend
big
not
deal.
to give myself the credit, Steve. And you're right. You're right. Because I really took COVID by, and I just said, "Hey, I need to do something." Yeah. And so I did
Yes,
it.
and
I did it.
you did it.
And I like what you said is like, that whole pivot or, changing up your bit, but it has really helped me restructure my business and look at, like, I mean, my mom's a big part of my life, and she continues, like, every day I'll come home and I go, "Oh, I have another idea." And I'll go on. And she's like, "There's just no stopping you." I'm like, I do have lots of ideas right now. And they're just coming. Can't implement everything. Like, I'm one of
Of
those, I
course.
want to implement everything yesterday. But, that's what goal setting's for. And that's, what we do. So I think COVID's allowed me to really look at this a lot. I was really stuck in my business for a while because I was just and doing kind of like the same thing over and over and over again. And COVID kind of allowed me to look at this a little bit differently, and what am I really great at, and what do I enjoy, and going back to the collaboration. Even self-employed, I don't have employees, but I collaborate with a lot of other independent contractors, and I feel like we're all part of a great team that's helping our clients in an amazing way. Yeah, these
Yeah, so you
days.
do have a team. You do have a team, whether they're W-2 or not. You're collaborating with all
Yeah,
these different, and that's the thing about being an event producer. Typically, that is, like even I come from the film background. When you're producing, you don't you hire kind of your whole team for every project. You're like, oh, I need this person and that person, and then the team kind of materialize. So I know the space, and that is typical, unless you work for a big studio where they just have the same team over and over, which does happen sometimes.
yeah.
But so that makes sense as far as your model goes. And thank you for bringing this up, because that was going to be my next question. Like, what was it like before all this? And thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, because I've seen this with a lot of folks. COVID has really had a lot of people, and not just COVID, but I think 2020 in general. There's so much stuff happening. It's beyond just COVID now. Like, I mean, we've gone through so many
Hmm.
iterations of change. It's really put the pressure on people to say, what do you want in your life? And so I've had a lot of people that are having these wake up stories. It's like you just said that you were kind of doing the same thing. And so then this shake up, whatever you want to call it, 2020 shook the world here. And then you
Yeah.
said, oh, maybe I could do things differently. So can you share, like, when you were doing things the same and it was just happening, how was that affecting you? Before all this, how was it affecting you before you made all this change?
Well, it was, I mean, I have to say 2020 was a much better year for me than 2018 and 19. So I wasn't I just wasn't as excited like to go to work all the time and be. Don't get me wrong, I had some amazing clients, but I wasn't just like, oh, I'm excited about this, or I'm going to learn this, or I'm really challenged by learning and teaching, and so that's kind of how it was before. And then it would be like I'd be done with a client, and then I'm back into that. Okay, we got to get that funnel going again. We got to get the pipeline going again. And now I'm realizing, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't have to still do sales. Absolutely, I have to do sales, but it's a different way. I never really was on LinkedIn too much, and now LinkedIn is my friend. I've met so many great people on LinkedIn, and how I'm helping people and they're helping me, and people are saying, hey, go talk to Marie because she really knows a lot about virtual events. And so now I'm seeing other avenues. There's like a lot of different profit streams that I'm looking at. And but like I said before, I wasn't so excited. It was like, yeah, I liked my job. I liked owning my own business, but I'm having much more fun right now. I am. Yeah. So
So that's awesome. So what's happening is you went from kind of like, you didn't say this word, but kind of like in a stale situation where you're doing the same thing. Like, that's what you had said. You were doing the same
yeah.
thing. You were doing a lot more weddings and less corporate. Now you're doing more corporate, more events, more reoccurring events. So it's creating these other streams of income for you. And not only that, you've done better in 2020 than 2018 and 2019, which is remarkable. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you've been able to do that all while you're having more fun. You're enjoying your job
Yeah.
more. That
Absolutely. I like that. It's a big bonus, right?
Yeah, well,
We should be
I hope
having
that
fun doing our work. Yeah.
well, and that's one thing I always say, more business, more life, right? So if we're gonna live, why not live? Let's not wait and say, oh, I'm gonna grind through this, I'm gonna pull all this, and then I'll have the life that I want. Um, so I think I'm with you. Like,
So Steve, can I
let's do
touch
that.
on something though?
Go
Can
for
I
it.
touch
Yes,
on something I
please.
really want to be, because if you like before, with a lot of, it was a combination of weddings and nonprofit that I was doing more so, but also what happens now is that the amount of, I don't have to do as many events. I guess that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like I would be like booked almost every weekend for a wedding just because I felt like I had to take it. And now it's like, oh, I'm listening to what clients are needing. This is exciting project. I really want to take it, but I don't have to do as many as I had to do before just to make a good
Per-
living. So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
especially when the projects get bigger, you can do less bigger projects and make more income
Yeah.
and work when you want to. So it sounds like all that is good. Thank you. And I want to go into, a few more things that might bring this all back in a full circle here, but I
Sure.
guess I'm curious how out of all the things, you had mentioned our coaching together. I'm curious, what was the number one thing if those folks were out there listening right now and they had to say, oh, I want to have what Marie has, I want to be able to do that. Like, if you could, maybe we can do more than one, but let's just start with one. What would be the biggest thing that you learned from me that made an impact this year? What's one thing that you would highlight, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is when this all happened, I just kept ramping up on my. You always teach us about how to do those 10-minute phone calls, just reaching out to people. Maybe you can help them, maybe you can't. And as a result, I think that's how people are learning what I'm doing. They're like, "Wow, look at how you've restructure your business and you're doing different things and things." So I can't say I'm the best student as far as writing it down, but we're working on that. That's a work in progress. uh, but I have to say, just reaching out to people, and I hear from people, they a lot of, I don't always see myself as this, but I've heard it in the last week a couple of times where people are like, Marie, you have a lot of influence. I don't know that I'd call myself an influencer because I look at that as a social media person, but I think that what's helped me is every time I get on a 10-minute phone call, I'm about how can I help somebody else? And then I can tell them a little bit about what I do. And I think that's been instrumental. I never
You
would have met Andy as a result with Andex. And, I never just, because that's what we did. We did a 10-minute phone call, and then it was like, oh, wait, he can do more. He can do more of this stuff. And so now we're, collaborating and working on a series of events. So,
Yeah, you
yeah. And
never
the
know
thing is,
where it's
Steve,
gonna go.
yeah. Yeah. And
Go
Steve, I didn't go from just, I went from like, I went from just doing weddings, okay, and that, those are simple. I've been doing those for a long time, to doing large conventions. This wasn't like, it's like getting the platform, doing the app, making sure we have pre-recordings. So there was like no learning time in between as much. I just went gangbusters, and those were what the clients were looking for. And
right.
so now on my off time, I can now put together my processes on that and what I've learned. Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
right.
and how I can
Yeah,
help
you went
people.
full
Yeah,
in. You went from like, smaller events to like gigantic event, and
yeah,
you made it happen, and now you're getting reoccurring business, and you're getting that. And so
yeah.
what I'm taking away from this question was, just having those conversations. And I think Todd Walker, who's been a part of the programs, and now he's actually working with me on our team. And he said the same thing. He said the 10-minute call. There we are. Are we back? Hello, hello. Hopefully we are live. So let me just see. I don't know what just happened, but thanks for bearing with us. Let me see if we can get Marie back here. Can you? Oh, yeah. One second. So while I'm waiting, hopefully we're live again here. Um, I had put my phone on airplane mode, so that doesn't help in an emergency. So okay, so I was just talking about the 10-minute calls, and what Marie was bringing up, the 10-minute calls are just the simple thing that I teach. How do we connect with more people? And one thing, we connect with more people by having shorter conversations. If we spend like it used to be in that we would, go have a cup of coffee with someone, go have lunch with someone. And I'm not saying that those things aren't important, and as the world opens back up, we're going to want to have that connection. But before we had shelter in place, and lockdowns of certain businesses, I already stopped getting in my car. Hey, there you are. Can you hear me?
I don't know what happened. Just froze. Sorry.
I Me
Sorry.
too. I think the whole thing went down. So we're back. I
Yeah.
was just explaining what 10-minute calls mean to me, and I was just saying that it's shorter calls, and that we actually find out what's going on with someone. And the thing I was bringing up with Todd Walker, he said this year he made more calls than he did in 2019, because he knew people needed more connection, right? Like, to be able to connect with people. So, and having that short conversation really makes it viable, because people don't always have an hour. They're like, oh yeah, I'll call Marie back, but they don't have time. But if you say, hey, let's just get 10 minutes, we have people say, oh yeah, I can give 10 minutes, no problem. So then we have this
Yeah.
meaningful connection. And then what I love what Todd said, and reason I want to repeat it, he said that I actually referred out more work than ever before. So these are people that were not meant for him, but he said, hey, go do this. He recommended or referred something else. And then he also acquired more business than ever before. Because, like you said, it doesn't, just because we have a conversation with someone doesn't mean that we're going to work with them, but it gives us the opportunity to help them. And I think that's what I'm hearing from you too. You've
Hmm.
had more conversations. People know that you're moving and changing the value of your business, and you've been able to now have more work than 2018 and 2019. Is that
Absolutely. We're just spot on. Right on. Yeah. Absolutely.
it?
I will
Well, and
get
then
better. I will get better about tracking it though, because Todd can speak better about that than I can. But I'm working on
yeah,
it.
and it just takes it's what Marie's talking about here is tracking. Like I always encourage everyone to track, and it's not just to see. It does help us figure out what to improve, but it also helps us
Mhm.
celebrate. I can't tell you how many clients, Marie, have tracked their calls and they're like, "Wow, I didn't know I was having such success." I mean, and obviously
Mm.
from a big
Yeah.
pictures perspective, you're having success. At the top level, you're having more success in 2020 than you did the 2 years prior, which is huge. But then when you track it, you're going to get more detail. It's kind of like when you look at like a newer car, right? Nowadays, when we get in our cars, we can know if we have air pressure in our tires. We know our oil pressure. We know how fast we're going. We know if we have enough fuel, right? If we cover up our dashboard, chances are you can get by pretty easily. Oh, I'm going about the same speed as the
Hmm.
other cars, but you could get pulled over and get a ticket. You also know, oh, I filled up my car on Friday. I probably have enough gas in the car, but you could run out of gas. So like the more that we look at our dashboard, we have less chance of risk. And so that's where a little bit extra time, just tracking what's going on, allows you to
Hmm.
celebrate your successes and then notice how you can move and make changes quicker so you don't wait until it's like, oh no, so that's why I think that's
Yeah.
the big encouragement. And so for you, having these 10-minute calls and having more connections, what is having that do for you?
Oh, it's I think I'm going to touch a little bit on exactly what Todd said too, because it helps. It's a great way of just reaching out. People need the connection, and it's been I've been able to help a lot of different people, and they've been able, like, I'll say, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking for this," and it's amazing what everybody's like. How can I help you, Marie? What can I do? So it's just this two-way great street that I get really excited about it. And I've been able to also meet people that I even use that, like on LinkedIn, when a certain person just connecting with me for the first time. Hey, I always like to refer back to their about page and see where we have similarities. And so I'll do that and, like, hey, can you jump on a 10-minute phone call? And I've met people across the world. I mean, not world, but nation, other side, East Coast. I'm a West Coast girl. So that I never would have connected with. And then we, like, hey, let's stay in touch. It's not just doing that 10-minute phone call one time and then you never see them. So I have actually a lot of friends as a result of it. And I just love helping people. So it's a
It,
great way of doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so beautiful to see. And I have to say, your happiness, your aura, like it's just screaming out of the screen right now. Like, and just if I flash back to when I had met you, just overall, like I can just see the joy in your face, Marie. And I'm just,
Yeah.
so happy to see that and so happy to hear of all
Thank
your
you.
successes in this. I'm curious, what do you think your next step is? Like what's the next thing?
Oh boy. I think, I really enjoy this and I actually like to teach. So a few people have even said, Marie, maybe you should do it, teach a course. I have so much in my toolbox. I have so much in my head that maybe that's the next thing. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. But I'm really enjoying working with, corporate and nonprofits. That's been my niche right now, and I just want to see how many other people I can help. It's not a hard, it's for me, it's not a hard thing, but for a lot of other people, it's very overwhelming. So how can I have that experience? Allow my clients to have a better experience with their events. Yeah. So
That's beautiful. And one thing that may or may not be on your radar, and I'll put this out there publicly, but I've been asked to speak at Cal SAE. That's the California Association for Associations. Basically, they have their seasonal event. They're doing it virtual in December, and so I'm speaking at their event on December 16th. And but I just something for you because so many of them. The reason I'm showing up there and they've asked me to speak is how do we make these changes like we're talking about? Because so many of those associations have events, right? They're all
yeah.
living off events. So having your presence there would be great. And if
Oh,
you
let's
want any
connect about that. Let's talk about
yeah, we
that.
could
Yeah.
definitely, it could be my next big introduction to you.
Yeah. Let's talk about
You know,
that.
you
Yeah.
never know where that can play. So yeah, so we'll let
I
that
know.
go and out there. But that is it's a beautiful thing. So um, I so much appreciate you taking the time today, and thanks for coming on the show and just sharing your success. And I think the takeaways, and if you want to add anything, and then we'll wrap up. But are that to look at. I think for me, what I look at you is you said, how do you create value for your clients? So instead of thinking of, oh, poor me, all the events went away, maybe there was that freak out moment for a second, but then you quickly turned and said, how do I serve my clients? And by asking that question, how do I create that value? You've been able to create a whole new business, is the first thing I heard. And then the second thing is connecting with more people, using the 10-minute calls that I taught you, being able to have more connections has been able to allow you to thrive during 2020. Do you think I hit the main two
Yeah.
points? Is there anything you would add?
Right. You're completely right on those. It is. It's really, allowing your clients to have that great experience too. It's a lot. One thing too is that people come to me and oh yeah, we just want to do an event. Well, I always, and that's why I'm able to give my clients that great experience, because I have to backtrack and go, well, wait, tell me more about that. I need to know,
Yeah.
what is that? Because it isn't really that you want to do an event, or what, tell me more. Why are you doing the event? So we always get
Yeah.
into the why. So I think that's I've always done that, but I have to do it even more with virtual right now. So I think you hit
Yeah.
it right on. Yeah, I don't really have much
Beautiful.
more to add. Yeah.
Yeah, those are huge.
Yeah.
Those are huge things. So if you're out there and you're wondering what to do, then just ask yourself how you can add value to the people that you work with, and then just go connect with more humans. We need more connection in all this isolation. So I'm so
Yes.
uh, I'm so grateful for this connection, and that you and I've been able to
Yes.
work together, and then even create more collaboration together. So it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to future interviews and
Likewise.
seeing where your business goes, Marie. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, I'm grateful for you too, Steve. Thank you so much. It's that month, and not always we want to be grateful all during the year, but November especially is all about gratitude, and I'm just excited that I was able to come on here and share something. Hopefully I've left some nuggets for somebody that might be not sure, what direction they're going. So
Well,
we can
and you
all
were like,
yeah, yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say,
So
you were one of the you were definitely more difficult to book than many of the guests, because you were so busy. So which is also
I
showing to
know.
your success. And congratulations. That just shows to
Yeah.
your success. So I'm grateful that we're finally able to make this work, and it happened right
Yes.
on this week. In this month, to be super grateful. And as you know, that's my saying: choose gratitude and create freedom. So
Yes.
I think, for all of you out there, and including yourself, Maria, and for me, just remember, creating our future is starting with our gratitude. And there's so much to be grateful for. Find your gratitude this week as you go into this Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. And even if you're global right now, anywhere outside the United States, then just finding what you're thankful for. And it's a great time to do this, because we're going into wrapping up 2020. So finding your gratitude and figuring out what you want next. So what am I thankful for, and what would I like, is what I would like to leave you with. So ponder that question. And I look forward to seeing you again. Get involved in our social media, get engaged. Let us hear your voice so we can help you more. Um, Lots of love and many virtual hugs. Thank you so much for watching.